Welcome into today's broadcast right here at Cog Hill Farm. Now, Peaches wouldn't let Nugget into the house for this episode, so here's Jason, Brooke, and our chicken master, Marycarl.
What is up, guys? It's another episode of the Cogcast podcast. This is episode number 26, and...
Are you sure about that?
I am. I'm pretty sure. I'm getting good at keeping up with them.
Well, I thought I was, because when I was downstairs, I was thinking it was 25.
Nope, it is 26.
Obviously, I'm not keeping up very well. We're -1.
We are -1.
Some days she just doesn't want to do it, and today was one of those days. So
that's right. And
we don't force her or make her do anything.
Nope.
It's usually she's pretty gung-ho, and she wants to join us, and she wants to talk, but she didn't tonight.
Not tonight. She was...
She's tired. Well, she had a busy day yesterday, and that's why we are doing this podcast a day late.
And I'm thinking maybe for the next few weeks, we may do the podcast on Tuesdays.
I think that would be an awesome idea.
Because what's happening is we are working our tails off on the weekends and Sunday. Like, we didn't get into 8:30 last night, and we were just dead tired.
Well, we had things that we needed to do when we got home, and podcast being one of them, and it just got scratched off the list because there were priorities.
That's right.
I think that's a good idea to kind of maybe even announce that. Go ahead and announce that it's going to be on Tuesday.
Just
not forever.
Not forever. Just Tuesday. And all the schedules may change up in the near future, but
we'll see.
We'll see. We'll let everybody know.
So this one is going to be like a recap and a Q&A kind of
podcast.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why Marycarl didn't want to join.
She couldn't. She thought she couldn't bring something up here, but she can. I don't care.
Yeah, she didn't ask though. So,
nope. So who knows? She didn't even know what we were doing. She just said, "Do I have to be in the podcast tonight? I really don't feel like it."
Well, we had a busy day today, so I guess she's kind of tired.
That's fine.
I'm good today. I'm not nearly as tired as I was yesterday.
Last night I crashed.
Yeah, me too.
I usually don't go to bed till like 11:30.
Well, I heard Zerk singing this morning, so that means that I slept well because I didn't wake up until I heard the birds sing.
And I know I was gone by 9:30 last night.
That's a good feeling.
It is.
Especially when you're well rested when you wake up.
Yes, I know it. It's so good.
We were at the Cog Hill number 2 all weekend. Right. And our last 2 videos were Nugget put a camera on.
We put a GoPro on Nugget. That's something we have been planning for a while, getting him set up to do the GoPro. We couldn't quite figure out exactly how we were going to do it.
Well, Marycarl and I spend quite a bit of time with him because, of course, Jason works during the week. And so every day when we go down there, we kind of rub on him. And there have been times when we've, put something on him, put a flower in his hair, and we know how docile he is.
Right.
But we still didn't know how the camera was going to go.
Didn't know how the camera was going to go. I got like 2 harnesses. I got a head thing, and then I had that wrist strap.
Well, my thought was pipe cleaner.
Yeah, you were thinking pipe cleaner.
But I think it would have just been doing just like this.
It would have been worse than what it was because it was not steady. And that's about as steady. I wasn't going to put it on it real tight.
Yeah.
Because it was on his neck and all that. We just wanted him to be comfortable. Once we got it, now the first time we put it on there, this wasn't on camera. It had a little Velcro strap that was kind of flapping. He did not like the Velcro strap.
He was trying to look at it. Yeah. And he was trying to walk, and then he was trying to run, and he was still... So the first time it was a no-go.
Yes.
But once we figured out how to tuck that strap back around where he wasn't... You know how something is when you can see it in your peripheral vision, whether it be anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if Emu has peripheral vision, but he saw something.
I bet they got darn good vision.
I bet they do too.
Yeah, but once we got that out of the way, he did not care at all. He could have wore it all day.
He could have. The thing about me is I have motion sickness, so I did watch the video.
Did you get motion sickness?
I wouldn't say like full-fledged motion sickness, but I didn't like watching him run.
There were several people that made comments about it,
It's either a hit or miss.
Emu with a GoPro strapped to him.
Now, the part where he meets Cantaloupe.
That was funny.
And the goose and he are face to face. That was pretty funny.
And I tell y'all some behind the scenes. We had over an hour of GoPro footage that I had to go through and watch.
Yeah, Marycarl was like, Daddy, can I see it? Can I see what the footage looks like? And Jason's response was, sure you can. You want to sit there for an hour and watch Nugget on camera? But Jason did go through it all.
And most of it is him just walking around and
just probably that
nothing.
That kind of vision.
You can see him looking around here, looking around there, and just slowly walking. And I don't think most people would find it interesting. So I cut an hour down to probably, I think that was like a 20-second section of it, maybe 40 seconds of Nugget.
We're talking about Nugget, and I just got tickled. Jason sent me a text this morning. And he goes to work every morning, and Marycarl and I stay home, do our homeschooling stuff, and take care of the farm. And he sends me a text, and he says, Nugget and Thomas were out this morning. And I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. He said, imagine looking in your back window and seeing a T-Rex looking in.
Y'all.
He said he went to back the car up, and he turned around and looked, and there was Nugget peering in his back windshield.
And it was just like you think. It wasn't just like, it was like this.
He has the most just humorous looks when he's and to be that early in the morning and emu, I mean, which we know we have an emu, but when they're staring at you, I think I would have probably
I really got tickled.
Poo-pooed on myself a little
bit. If
bit.
he'd have been in the driver window, like if I'd have been like this and turned, that probably would have been more scary. But I turned around, looked, and I really got tickled at him because he was just like that.
Well, I thought that Jason wanted me to put him up, or, he didn't have time to put him up, because sometimes the old boy can be kind of hard to go back up, and then other times he's like
easy.
But what happened was he just pushed on the gate a little bit and saw Jason probably and decided he was going to come on up. It doesn't happen very often, but there are times.
Not at all. Or a lot of times what happened is that gate looks like it's shut.
Yeah.
And, of course, Marycarl, she wouldn't know any different. The gate shut, it looked shut, sounded shut. So it could have been shut. And it could have been any of us, too. So.
Yeah, and he's not looking for a way out. It's an accident.
Something happened. Either the wind blew the gate open.
And it could have been open all night, and he just then noticed it.
That, too.
He likes his area.
He does, and he came right back. He saw me go down there.
He never goes anywhere. The furthest he's ever gone is up to the house.
And that's where he was today.
Well, he probably saw you.
I guess he did. Well, it was funny because I drove down there, and here he comes. He doesn't run. The only time he runs is when you first let him out, and he lets that little burst of energy out. After that, he's just ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. He's just slow,
It's kind of like
goofy.
Bear, our Great Pyrenees.
Yes, very similar.
I think it's a male thing.
It may be, because that's how I walk too, isn't it?
It is. That's exactly what I was thinking. When you said blah, bloop, blah, bloop, I said, that's Jason.
So I got down there, and I threw some corn out, and he saw me, and he come. I mean, it was 2 minutes tops, and he was right back in there.
Yeah, he's just, for the most part, unless he's involved in something or he sees something new, he gets his walking out, and he comes right on back.
And 100% he knows his name.
Oh, 100%.
He
knows his name. He knows his name. You heard me call him yesterday.
He'll look dead at you.
We were ready for him to come up, and he looked up from where he was like, hey, they calling my name.
And usually he'll come at his own pace when you call him.
But, I was just thinking, it brought to my attention that he has not been to the creek in a long time.
He hasn't been in the creek in a long time.
Used to, when we let him out, he would kind of go through the creek and back around for his run, but he doesn't have as much interest in the creek as he once did.
Mm-mm.
I guess he's just loving his land life.
His purple pool, he's content.
Yeah, he's loving that purple pool.
Who knows?
He shares it well with the goslings and the ducks.
He does share it well with the goslings and the ducks.
And then the other video was we went to the land to see what it looked like after we bush hogged.
And we were surprised. We've never owned pasture land. We never managed pasture land.
Only kind of grass we've ever had is sod.
Yeah, like our front yard.
Yeah, like a name.
Right. Zoysia.
Bermuda.
Centipede.
Well, Bermuda is a kind of hay, but Bermuda like golf course grass.
We've never bush hogged. That's all new to us.
It was kind of like a foreign language.
So it was quite interesting to see, number one, how fast it grew back.
And I'm wondering if it's just because it's been so long. Y'all let us know what you think. So long since it's seen sunlight. It's been 4 years since the place has been cut.
That's right. I just realized I left this machine.
Air air purifier.
Air purifier.
Somebody, while I'm thinking about this, somebody had mentioned that Marycarl needs one in her bird room. She has one.
She has one, yeah.
It's a filter that filters out the bird dander and feather dust and such as that. And we have them in various places in the house, and
yeah, we
that
do.
just happened to be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the land being green and growing. Yeah, I was kind of surprised at how much it had grown.
I was very surprised
2
how
weeks?
much it had grown. No, it was a week.
Oh, wishful thinking.
That was a week. No,
It's not that I don't like the bush hog. It's not that at all, because I do enjoy it. But I was surprised at how fast it grew, considering I'm not even finished with what I started.
Mm-mm.
It could be cut right now.
It could be cut right now. Now, somebody had mentioned, because it had a lot of dead grass in it, and I'm used to, you leave that in there, let it decompose and compost back into the ground. But if we're cutting it like this every time.
Yeah, I mean, we want it to look nice. We want it to be, a pretty pasture. And if you're like us, you ride by a pasture and it's either, oh, that's a pretty pasture, or you don't say anything.
Right.
And I do like to comment on a pretty pasture, and I do want ours to look that way.
So this person, and several people has mentioned this, said we needed to get a pasture harrow or a
drag harrow.
Is it harrow or harrow?
I don't know. Harrow. How about that?
Harrow. Potato.
So we had to Google it, and we found out that it's like a big piece of screen almost.
It looks like a chain link fence
that you drag behind. Well, you can drive it behind ATV, whatever. And it kind of dethatches, from what I understand. Would that make it look better? I mean,
well, it does. I can see, because it would aerate the soil. It'd get that out, so it wouldn't be, that grass, that dead grass is covering up.
Yeah, because it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
And then,
so
how far do you go before you have to empty that?
I don't know. Somebody said today, I read another one about it, because they said the same thing: a rake, a pasture rake, or a harrow. And he said to pile it up and turn it into compost. And I thought, hey, that's a great idea.
But I wonder how you empty it. Do you just pick it up?
Drag it. And
well, I know, but it's got to get to a point where it gets full.
I'm guessing it gets to a point where it doesn't catch anymore, and the old stays in there. I think you just pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it just picks up.
They need like a Roomba kind of one of those, like a self-emptying.
We could do like a battery-powered big pasture Roomba.
Well, we're not going to talk about that. And also, somebody said that I needed a finishing mower instead of a bush hog.
Yep.
And my wheels have been turning ever since that.
Have you even looked those up?
Oh, yes, sir, I have.
Does bush hog make a
Yes, sir, and they have it in stock. Same place we bought ours.
Really?
Same price.
Really?
Same price as bush hog.
So why would you need the bush hog for big, tall, thick stuff?
Well, I guess so. I mean, I couldn't have come in there with a finishing mower that's got a blade that's a lot thinner.
I guess so.
The first pass. There's no way it wouldn't have, or it would have ate the blades up.
That's true.
Really quick.
And there's no way you could cut that with your zero turn.
Well, and this is another thing I started thinking. I've been thinking a lot.
Okay.
Kathy and Stan.
That's right.
Cut their place with zero turns.
Two of them. And
their property is way bigger than ours.
Yes.
But it takes them like a week. And during growing season, by the time that week's ending, you got to turn around and do it again.
But they got
but it's beautiful.
400 acres.
Yeah, but it's
I forget
beautiful.
what it is.
Well, it's not a lot of.
They own half of Shorter, Alabama.
It's kept very nice, and I mean, it's one of those places where you'd say, "Man, that's pretty pasture."
You know what we ought to do?
What?
I need to ask them to bring them down there, and let's see how fast we can cut them, and see if it's worth us investing in.
And some zero turns.
2 Kubota zero turns.
I love my tractor. You can get on the zero turn that we already have, and I will stay on the tractor.
I'm thinking their zero turns are bigger than ones we got.
Well, I selected a 4-foot zero turn. I'm the grass cutter
From
at
Kubota?
our house. No, the one we have now. 48 inch.
That's that one. Yeah, but they were cutting this grass. We didn't have 20 acres when we bought that thing.
It may be that I end up trading this one in and getting a bigger one.
Oh, okay. But I know Stan and Kathy got Kubotas.
Do they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're Kubotas.
So I bet they're big.
They're pretty big.
They're probably like a 6 foot.
I bet they are.
So what would be the difference in that and a bush hog, except for keeping the blades?
You'd
have to have 2 tractors, and 2 tractors would be expensive.
I don't know what the difference would be. I'm guessing that once it's cut short, those zero turns are way faster than the tractor speed-wise. But I don't know.
I got a question for Kathy. I'm going to text you a little later and ask you. I thought about it today, but I was in a position where I couldn't
just never
ask
thought
her.
about that. Yeah,
But why? I mean, their grass is beautiful.
it is beautiful.
And y'all tell us what we can do to make our grass more beautiful.
But theirs is a lot of deer fields. Though,
It
too.
is. It is.
Yeah.
But it's pretty, and
It
they
is
want
pretty.
it to be pretty.
It's very pretty.
They want it to be pretty.
Very pretty.
But we have got all the big areas cut.
You got all the big ears cut.
Well, yes, I do. And I'm very satisfied with the way it looks.
It does look great. All of it looks great.
I mean, it still's got a lot of dead thatch in there, and you can see where the blackberries were.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to come back, but I think eventually the grass will choke that out.
I think so too. We may plant some there. We have to read.
And a lot of people commented, why don't y'all just take your goats over there? Well, because we don't live there.
Yeah.
And it's a few miles from our farm, so it's not feasible for us to
Right.
leave them over there, potentially give them bloat because they're not used to eating a whole
Which
bunch
could
of
happen.
anything.
That could really, really happen. And like you said, it's probably, 25, 30 minutes away from
Yeah,
here?
so I mean, going over to make sure the fences are good there, but we haven't put our hands on every single.
And we've seen coyote scat. So, I mean,
I don't know what Tip, Joe, or Topper would do if they saw a coyote.
I don't either.
Joe might go up on his hind legs and let them know who's boss, and
Joe would be okay, I think.
I don't think Tip
Tip
would.
and Top. I don't think they would be
They're-
because they're so small.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we didn't leave them over there. First of all, I mean, we could leave them a big old bucket of water or whatever, but there's 40 acres for our goats that have been confined in a,
Yeah.
Right. What,
and they're not going to
40
eat the
by-
pasture. They're going to go straight because goats are not grazers. I mean, if they're on it and that's all they got, yeah, they'll nibble at it. But goats are foragers. They eat roughage. They're not grazers. A sheep's a grazer. A cow's a grazer.
There's lots of things there that we are yet to figure out what it is.
What it is. Plus, we've been told by several people the cherry trees we have are extremely poisonous to livestock.
Yeah.
And would kill a cow is what several people have told us.
So when we do move our animals over there, we do want them in a contained area so
And
we can,
safe.
and safe. Yeah. And that may sound crazy to not let them go over there, but they are our pets. They're not just grazing goats.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that people that have grazing goats don't love them. I don't mean that at all. But what I mean is they're not used to being away from.
No.
They're
not at
just
all.
they get fed 2 times a day out of a bucket. They wouldn't know what to do if they. And we had a miniature pony Marycarl had when she was very small, and we were getting ready to go on a trip the
That's
next
right.
day,
I forgot
and
about
that pony was on his last leg.
Yep.
We had to have a vet come out and literally pump his stomach,
Yeah. Just kept pumping him full of mineral oil.
pumping him full of mineral oil until he was all cleaned out, and it was from buckeye.
Yeah, the
which is a
wild buckeye
poisonous-
that grows here.
Poisonous plant.
Yeah, very
And
poisonous.
Marycarl and I saw some.
Did you
over the
there?
weekend, yes.
We got a ton of it here.
Yeah, we saw a couple of them, and I asked Marycarl because I was kind of second guessing myself. I was like, "Is that buckeye?" And she said, "It is."
It is. And we have May apples, which are also poisonous.
We don't have any May apples at the new place,
Not
though.
at the new
Not that
place.
we've seen.
Yeah.
It may be deep in the woods, but
Just got to be careful.
yeah, that's another reason we don't let them roam.
Right.
And that wasn't even one of my questions, but I just thought about it when we were talking about.
And the same thing with a barn. I saw people say that we're supposed to put a barn cats in the barn. Well, again, we're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
And we go there a lot. But
Not enough to keep our eyes on it.
Yeah, it may be. We may go 3 days in a row. We may go 3 days in a row, not go in 2 days.
That's
and then
right.
we make. So I mean, it's just we would not want to leave an animal over there by itself. Without
No,
us over
I
there.
don't feel that
Yeah.
way either. I mean, people say there are such thing as barn cats. Well, I don't have. I mean, yes, our cats are considered barn cats, but they are very friendly cats.
and
They're
tame.
not anything we could take over there and just leave.
Yeah.
They would probably cry themselves
Right.
all the way back to Cog
Yeah,
Kill
I
number
think so.
1.
Yeah, I think so.
But that's the reason we have not. And y'all, the poison that we put out, it will be long gone by the time we get over there.
yes, that won't even be an issue. Yeah,
And as for the rats, we really don't know if they're still there because we've avoided the barn.
Yeah, well, not that we actually just avoided it. We've just been doing other stuff there.
Yeah, it was, we didn't have the tractor yet when we cleaned out the barn.
That's
Remember?
right. That's right.
I didn't have the bush hog yet.
Yep.
There was nothing we could do but clean out the barn.
That's right.
Not saying we don't need to get back on it because there's still a lot of stuff in there that needs to come out.
Right.
But that's the reason that we were cleaning the barn. And now that we have the tractor and chainsaw and, just things that need to be done.
Yeah.
To visually make it look better. All right. So you want to answer some questions?
We can answer some questions.
Jason, this one's for you.
Okay.
How are you going to move the your ducks to your new farm? Or are you going to leave them here?
I don't think we're going to leave them.
You're not?
No, we'll bring the new ducks or all the ducks.
New ducks? What about the old ducks?
The ducks should not be that hard to catch. The only ones we're going to have problems with are some of the wild mallards, and some of those may get.
Yeah, they may get left behind, but
they're native to this area. They're wild. I honestly think some have migrated.
I think so too. And Marycarl and I talked about this just the other day. We don't know how many female mallards we had, but we had quite a few female mallards.
Males too.
Yeah, we're not seeing the number.
Seeing them.
And they weren't they were domesticated to us because we, they hatched here.
Right.
Most of them were from stock that came from us initially, and then they reproduced here. So they love the creek.
Yes.
They had gotten to where we just about didn't see them anymore.
They stayed in the creek all the time.
And they don't even hardly come to eat.
No, they don't.
So, and
they're migratory birds.
They are.
Yeah.
I'm feeling kind of confident that may be what happened to some of them.
I think so too. I think a lot of them flew to Coop.
Initially, we were thinking that a lot of them were sitting on eggs.
I don't think so, though.
I told Marycarl, I said, I think they would have hatched by now.
Exactly.
We
would
had
see
that one.
something by now.
We had that one mallard that hatched those 4 babies, and those 4 babies are walking around, but we haven't seen anything else, which is odd.
I mean, there may be some. I really, and I told Marycarl that a week or two, I think they migrated.
Well, whatever happened. They were happy here. It's not like they left because they weren't taken care of. It's just their instinct.
They're wild. They're not really domesticated. We said they were domestic, but they're not genetically domesticated.
That's right. They sell them at feed stores around here, but that doesn't take the ability to fly away, nor does it take that instinct to want to migrate away.
That's right. So I think that's what happened to
I think that's what happened too. And she's not sad about it.
Oh, no.
She hasn't asked for any more either, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah, I think she's over the mallard.
I think so too. Yeah. I think she realized that's more of a pond.
She's into cool. She loves. I tell you, this is what happens, and this is why she catches so many eggs. She loves seeing what comes out, the colorations, the colors, the patterns. If it's new, and she's really, really gotten hardcore into that. And that's why she does it, in my opinion.
This past week, she told me that she really didn't want any more white Muscovies.
Yes.
That she's hatched some for a friend of ours, and if they come out white, then they go to the friend. But if they have any blue or chocolate or black or any other color on it, she would like to keep them. And, I'm okay with that because so far she's only hatched 2 that have color on them.
Yeah, fine with that. And she had 17 silkies that went to a friend.
17 silkies that she did not want to sell. The friend that they went to was like, Marycarl, you can sell those, girl, and make you some money. Marycarl looked at her and she said, I don't care about the money. If you want them, you can have them because I want them to go to a good home. So
that's Marycarl.
It was just like this. She said, Mom, I'm fixing to go through my silkies, and the ones I don't like the color of, will you see if she wants them? And I did, and just like that, they were off.
Yeah.
So, she's really interested in
the different colorations.
And I think that's going to continue to grow.
I think so, too.
Well, I had a friend of mine this week that told me her daughter, who is, I think, 13, 14, something like that, she said that they were selling their acreage and moving to the river. Oh. And I said, why? And she said, well, the whole time that we've been doing animals, it's because my daughter has been very involved in it, and she loved it, and she would go outside with me, and that was kind of like our mom and daughter time, and we enjoyed it together. And now she has no interest, and she said, I'm not feeling it because she's not interested.
Right.
And she said that she was wanted to actually know if I wanted some of her animals, because she wanted them to go to a good home. And she said her last statement to me was, I hope Marycarl doesn't ever do that.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, she's 11. Her daughter's 13 or 14. 2 to 3 more years. Do I think she's going to lose interest? I don't.
I just don't see it.
I don't.
We may be totally wrong, but I just don't see it. I really don't.
It's one of those things where when she wakes up and she thinks that there might be chicks somewhere, feed store, whatever.
Yeah.
Her heart skips.
Yeah, it does.
And I just don't think you get that away from her.
I think she's very passionate about it, and that's, when you're passionate about something, it's a little different.
I just don't feel like all the time I was interested in sports that never made my heart go pitter patter. You know what I mean?
And she's always been like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's always been like this. This isn't like a fad that started last year.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's just becoming more and more and more.
Yeah, she's getting older.
And she's getting into more genetics and how things work and what you get with dominant and recessive traits.
Right.
And she's explained some things to me here lately that I didn't realize.
I saw a comment on YouTube, and I catch some of them because we can see like 5 at a time, and we probably get 300 or 400 on a video, so it's hard to read them all. But I saw one, and it said, don't tell these people this, but their daughter's actually smarter than they are.
Talking about us?
Yeah.
I don't take offense to that, because I absolutely agree with it in so many ways. Because I just don't have the memory that she does. Even though she's 11 years old, yes, your memory's better as a child than it is as an adult. But at her age, compared to me and my memory at that age, it's not the same. She recognizes features. She remembers things. It's just, I don't know.
They can see it in the podcast.
Well, sure. I just, I don't know why I missed out on that part.
Me either.
All right. So, the cemetery. Is the cemetery woods part of our property? Are there any family buried there?
It is part of our property. It is behind us. There is my family. It's really, really old. It's the oldest grave is around 1740 or 50. Mm-hmm. I think the newest may be in the early 1900s.
But it is surveyed away from our property that we farm. Yeah. And that way, when we do sell Cog Hill Farm, it will be still in the family.
It's still be in the family. Unless mother says otherwise, then that's probably how it's going to go. Yeah. It's not that much acreage.
No, it's not that much acreage. And nothing can be built on a cemetery.
Because the whole thing's cemetery. There's graves everywhere.
So I think that part will be kept the way it is. And as far as maintaining it, it
looks just like it did when we moved here. There's no way to get, right now, I don't see how you get any equipment in there. And it is, a lot of monuments have fallen over time from the ground shifting. It would take...
It takes some big time equipment, like a crane almost.
And I don't know how much money it would take. It would take a lot. We've thought about it. I do not know how in the world. You'd have to have an expert, because the monuments are in several pieces. Most of them aren't broken for the most part. They just had fallen.
Well, it's not something
I don't marble, and I don't know how you would put it all back together.
I don't think you could put just a chain around it, because it would potentially crack or break it in another place. You want to reset your camera?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last podcast we talked about eggs and different kinds of eggs, and somebody commented, if you had a lash egg, meaning us, I assume, because we have so many chickens, how would we know who laid it?
We wouldn't.
We wouldn't, but more than likely, if you've got a lash egg, you're seeing a lame chicken, and you're knowing that something's wrong with that chicken. And if you've got one chicken that's laying a lash egg, you've probably got multiple problems.
Yes.
That's my opinion.
I would think you would eventually probably in the next week figure out who it is.
Yeah, because they might not even be able to get out of the box.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
There's something going wrong with them. So
There's
you would
something
know,
wrong. And
you would know that they were sick.
yeah, so does our male turkey ever bother our chickens? And they said that their turkey seems to be aggressive towards the roosters.
No. Don't have any issues there.
We have had turkeys in the past that did not do well with us. It was probably more so Marycarl.
Yeah.
She was, if it ever kind of went towards her a little bit, then
We got rid of it.
at an early age, before she
We
was,
rehomed them.
yeah, we rehomed them and we didn't even give them a chance, really.
Vanilla Ice was one of them.
Yeah, Vanilla Ice was one of them, and we have Thomas, and he's
That's
good,
it.
and I don't see that changing.
Yep, I don't either. He's old. I mean, Thomas is
He's
2-3 years old
about
now.
3,
Yeah.
I think, probably. But
Now, him and Scott they don't, it's not like a knockout, drag out fight, but Thomas will blow up and, and kind of, juke at Scott a little bit, but I had never seen them throw blows at each other.
no,
And Scott acts like he's not scared of Thomas, he's bobbing and weaving
but never any rooster problems.
No, never any rooster problems. And I never seen Thomas and Scott throw spurs at each other. They're just looking at each other, just looking at each other up and down.
Making sure you recognize I'm here.
Yes. That's the only one. And I tell y'all something funny, and I wish I had caught it on camera. This was this past weekend. And that was
I know what you're talking about.
Thomas, he usually stays in the pen the whole day, but every now and then he'll venture out. And so he ventured out, and he saw Scott, and he was like, "Oh, what's up, Scott?" And then he started picking on Scott, and then Scott kind of backed off a little bit, and because Scott seemed like he was just a tad bit uneasy. And y'all, I promise you, next thing I know, Nugget came over there, stepped in between them, and stared Thomas down. Thomas was completely scared to death and backed off and went away. So the sheriff absolutely did his job. It was amazing.
That's
to
funny.
do that.
That's funny. I wish I had seen it.
I
You
wish
told
I
me
had it on
about it.
camera. Yeah.
Do we collect Scott's tail feathers when he loses them?
Marycarl does.
Marycarl does.
We got it's like what do you call that thing? I call it like a giant
It's a
milk jug.
It's
like
a milk
the
jug.
giant ones.
Old timey.
Old timing. And it's slap full of Scott feathers.
It won't hold another one. So when he does start dropping his feathers, she brings them in, and they usually land where they're not supposed to. And I will numerous times say, "Get the peacock feathers off the kitchen table."
Yeah.
And then they may or may not find it all the way to the jug. They usually land on the couch from there, and then get the peacock feathers off the couch.
Or she'll decorate with them and all
yeah.
kinds of stuff. She's
Yeah.
done all kind of crafts with them, but
Yeah.
we do collect them. Or Marycarl does.
We do. And it's a good many feathers, too.
And Marycarl can find them quick. She
She
good
can.
at it.
All right, Jason, this
Yes.
is for you. Soil kit,
Yes.
soil testing.
Yes.
These people say they've struggled with understanding where to go.
All right. This is Alabama. We go to our county extension office. And
Yes.
they're there.
Our county is Dallas, so you would go
Dallas
to
County.
Dallas County Extension Office.
Yep.
And what I did was I Googled it. I found the phone number. I called them. I asked them if they had kits available because this is not the perfect time of year to be testing.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's our time to be testing. They said, yes, what time will you be coming by? And they actually had the test ready for me when I got there.
Yep.
Now, Dallas County's a small county, so your county, if it's L.A. County or something like that,
Right.
might not have the kit.
May not be like that, but that's what we did.
That's
here.
where I would start. I would Google your county extension office. Call them up, ask them, do they have the soil testing kit? When we picked ours up, it came with a set of instructions.
Yep.
It told us exactly what to do
Yep.
and where to send it.
Yep.
So,
And it's super easy. And it says on there a turnaround time within 2 to 3 days.
that's pretty awesome.
If you
How do they
do
get
it-
the results back to
I'm
you?
going to email me.
Oh, okay, cool.
If I had them mailed, it would take longer. But it said if you want them quick, email.
Yeah.
So I put the email address in there.
Good
so,
deal.
matter of fact, send them off this week.
Yes.
So
yes.
We'll get
yes.
those back soon.
So just check your county extension,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody will be able to help you.
Should be able to help you. And
All
I'm
right.
assuming all states have counties and extension office. That
You
y'all
would
may have
think so.
parishes, but I think it's the same thing.
I don't know. I'm sure they do. I mean, it's got to.
Yeah.
Will we raise rabbits when we move?
No.
We used to raise rabbits. We're done with rabbits.
We're done with rabbits.
Matter of fact, we're so done with rabbits that we have seen a couple of cute little rabbits here and there lately where somebody was giving them away, offering them a new home, and Marycarl's never asked for one.
Never asked for another one.
And it's not that we don't like rabbits and don't think they're cute, but we are overdone with rabbits.
Done with the rabbits. We did not enjoy raising rabbits. Just didn't enjoy it. I mean, if you don't like it, there's no sense of doing it.
Yeah, and when we had pet rabbits when Marycarl was little, and getting her to show interest in the rabbits was just not happening. So
She didn't.
if you don't really care about something, there's really no point in having it. Just something extra to take care of.
That's right.
Will my mom ever appear on any videos?
I would say right now there's a 95% chance that's not going to happen.
But she did want to take Christmas pictures this year for Cog Hill Farm, and Grandma will be in the picture.
So that's why I leave the 5%.
That's that 5%.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't answer that.
Can't answer that. But right now, 95% no, she won't be. She does not want to be.
That's just not her interest.
She just don't want to.
She doesn't care anything about. I mean, she's interested in what Marycarl's interested in, what Marycarl shows her, but other than that, she's not.
Yeah, she's not game of being on camera. Every now and then, I will say this, y'all will see her in the background sometimes. You just have to look, but you will see her. I think the best one, if y'all do want to go see her, go to the greenhouse video where we bought. Our friend Paul got us a greenhouse, and we moved it into the garden, and she's there in the background, and she's talking to you at some time, just like one little quick there, and she's there way off in the camera, but you can see her there.
She's going to kill you.
I think she knows it. I think she's seen it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Have we ever had a crossbeak chicken?
Yes, we have had crossbeak chickens, but...
We've had crossbeak chicks.
Chicks, yeah.
Because there are times when a beak of a chick will get crossed.
Yeah.
It can be after you purchase it, or most of the time it's like that when you do get it and you don't realize it. If it is corrected very soon, it can be turned around.
Right.
But, and you can Google ways. There's lots of potentially what you would call inhumane ways to correct it. Rubber bands, such as that. You know, it's just a little bit of a crossbite. That's all it is.
Yep.
And if you get it real early, then you can potentially change it. Otherwise, you're going to have to soften that food. You're going to have to help
and
it.
Feed it a lot of times.
Any we've ever had have not lived very long.
Yeah.
Not to say they've died, within the first few days, but it requires a lot of attention.
And I've seen other homesteaders on YouTube or in Instagram and Facebook, and I've seen them have full-size crossbeaks where they've actually, were able to do it.
They can learn to live on their own if they're, given a chance. But most of the time, they have to have a lot of extra attention.
Yeah.
What does the property do when it's heavy rains?
The property is awesome. I even had somebody say a comment YouTube video, we need to go there after heavy. We've been there because it's heavy rained here a ton. I still ain't planted my garden yet. My garden is soaking wet. If we lived at the new place, my garden would be planted. It drains awesomely. It's higher ground. We've seen very, very few standing water. This weekend we went after a huge rainstorm, and she could have bush hogged it. There was no evidence of any type of...
I was on the bush hog.
That's right, you were. There was no evidence of any type of mud. There's nowhere that she can get stuck, allegedly. And it drains very, 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 very well.
What about using electric poultry fencing around our garden at a new place? We talked about that.
We have talked about that. I think I really want a permanent fencing. I think that's what I'm going to be my idea.
Because your garden's going to be in the same place.
Yeah. I thought about it because me and you talked about just leaving it open. Mm-hmm. But I thought about, what happens if Nugget were to get out?
Nugget's not going to do anything but stomp a few plants.
Nugget get out, or the goats get out.
You better be worried about Peaches.
Peaches gets out. I mean, something. We're not sure exactly how we're going to lay this whole place out yet, and how we're going to do the pens, and how things are going to, how things are going to work, and where they're going to be. But I was thinking if something got out like Nugget, and got out of his area and just walked through there, he would probably pick tomatoes. He could probably do some damage to some tomatoes. Just pick one, go to the next one, pick one, go to the next one.
Or even if we had peas or something like that, he could take down a row of peas in no time.
He really could.
So I'm
thinking definitely permanent. The thing about the poultry netting, I don't know. It just wouldn't. It's just going to be a permanent area. It's not going to move around. So I'm thinking just make it permanent.
I am thinking about the poultry netting for laying chickens.
Yes.
And I don't know about goats yet or not. They're going to have a house, and that house is going to have to be wherever they are. So I'm not sure about goats, but I do think that our laying chickens will be in a poultry net.
And we're thinking about doing an egg mobile.
Yeah.
Similar to what Joel Salatin does, where we can move it every so often and move the poultry netting. That's what we're thinking about, the egg layers.
We've got something in mind. And
yeah. And it may not work. That's
had
just
a light bulb come on the other day, and I mentioned it to Jason, and that brings us to one of our other questions is, will we be taking our chicken coop with us?
The big one, I don't see it. I don't see how we can get it out. It's 24 foot long,
10 foot wide.
10 foot wide.
There's trees on each end,
yes.
Big trees on each end. And in order for a rollback or something like that to get in there and get up under it, it would, to me, potentially tear it up.
Tear it up.
First of all. Second of all, have to have some big time tree cutting going on because there's other buildings around there.
That's
if we just sawed it off at the bottom, it's going to hit something.
Yeah.
We'd have to have an arborist come in and cut the tree down. Don't want to take away a tree. Love the coop. Love the coop.
Love the coop.
Did not have plans of leaving at the time we built the coop.
Nope.
Hopefully somebody else will come along and enjoy the coop as much as we
agree.
do.
The only building I think we may move, we've talked about the brooder, and I'm not sold on moving the brooder, but we might. And the sweet shop, which is my garden shed.
It was moved here from just about where we are going.
We're on a rollback.
Yeah, on a rollback. So we know that's possible. However, we don't know if we can do it.
We don't know, and we may not. It just depends. We'll look at the cost of rebuilding, or maybe finding it. We've bought this one off Facebook. I mean, who's to say we can't find another one on Facebook closer to where we are? I mean, we just don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to rebuild anything we don't have to.
Right.
But if we can't get it there in one piece, then it's not worth it.
Or if it's going to cost us an arm and a leg to move it.
Yeah, our driveway goes like this, out.
It's not ideal situation for us to be moving big stuff.
It's not.
It's really not.
We had a heck of a time getting the Airstream down the driveway.
Yes.
And Jason's still not sure if it's ever going to go back out.
We haven't got it out yet. I feel more confident, though, since we've gotten the tractor and the trailer out.
Oh, yeah.
They're both
many a time.
Close to the same length.
What's privet?
Privet is I'm sure it's not native, but it is an invasive shrub, and it looks kind of like a boxwood shrub, if you know what that looks like. That's what the leaves look like. Just imagine a boxwood shrub, which are very common, that just went wild on you. And it wasn't pruned for 5 years and just kept growing. That's what privet looks like.
And the root system on those guys can get like this, while the the ends of it looks like a little spindly hedge, but the root system gets really big and it multiplies. It's just like it had babies everywhere.
It is. It multiplies, and a lot of people are allergic to the pollen that the privet flower puts out. So
we had some when I was little in a house that we lived in the city, and it was a hedge. Mm-hmm. And my mom, that was kind of like her job, was to keep that privet cut. Uh-huh. And she always just achoo, the whole time she was cutting that privet.
It's very common. I think privet gets doesn't get a pass on allergies because I think it's when something else blooms. I want to say it's goldenrods, but I may be wrong on that. But that's people are allergic to privet and have allergy attacks because of it, but they think it's something else.
Yeah,
something else gets the blame for it. Goats love privet. Now that would be a good thing that goats would eat.
Jason, do you have a job outside this farm?
I do have a job outside the farm. Actually, I've been at that job for 21 years.
That's a long time.
It is a long time.
It's the same year that we were married as the year that you went to work for this company.
It is.
And he is in automotive management at a car dealership.
Yep.
And he did that for several years before
that, yeah.
Before that. However, he did work at the funeral home.
I used to work at the funeral home. That would be a good podcast
It
in
sure
itself.
would.
I'm glad you mentioned that because we won't have enough time to get into my funeral home experience.
My dad actually worked at the funeral home.
Vice president.
And he started at a young age. He was fresh out of college and needed a job, and so he started out at the funeral home. And actually, Jason was in the automotive business, and my dad offered him a position thinking that Jason could maybe one day potentially own the funeral home.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jason went to work there, and after, how long did you work there? 3 years?
2 or 3 years.
After several years, he just decided it wasn't for him. And lo and behold, if he had stayed, he would be owning the funeral home today.
I would be owning the funeral home today. It wasn't that I didn't like it per se.
It was bad hours.
It was crazy hours back then. You were on call a lot. You didn't have any off days. But a car dealership had called and offered me a really, really tremendous deal and a good bit more money than the funeral home.
And it was Monday through Friday, whereas you were 7 days a week.
I got 1 weekend off every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that didn't leave us much time.
No.
He had to spend the night like every fourth night.
Yep.
All night. Because back then they let people, they needed somebody to stay there. And they always said it was for insurance purposes or fire purposes.
Fire purposes was the main reason.
In case that the funeral home caught on fire, then the body could be brought out and the body wouldn't have its second perish in a fire.
Right. That's right.
And so they don't do that here anymore. But
plus technology is way better now. But back then, we had beepers and there was no cell phones.
I remember when my dad got his first beeper. It was like Christmas morning. But
yeah, that would be a great podcast.
Have we ever thought about moving our houses to our new place? This has been asked a lot.
Yeah.
And I almost giggle when I see it, and it's out of no disrespect to anyone who's asking that question because you haven't seen our place.
You haven't seen our driveway.
We live on, it's a dead end road.
Yeah. And it's a tiny road.
It's a tiny road.
Mm-hmm.
There is absolutely no way.
And not only that, we're fairly rural. So there's trees overhanging. You know, it's just rural Alabama. So once you got off this tiny road, you're going to go on another tiny road. Then you're going to go on another tiny road. And it's just I'd hate to see what the houses look like by the time
I was going to say, if we could just see what that would be like without actually doing it. That would be a video.
And the power lines. There's just power lines everywhere here. I don't know how it is in other places, but especially here in this.
I have seen multiple houses that have been moved.
Oh, yeah. There's one,
We almost bought it.
A few miles from here, the Joneses.
Well, I'm thinking more like Jeanette's.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But those were, now theirs was brought in sections. The Jones it was a 2-story antebellum home from the 1800s, and they brought it in sections, and then Jeanette's house was a 1-story house.
It was an antebellum home.
And it was an antebellum home.
I don't mean any disrespect to laugh when you ask if we could take our houses. I wish we
could. Heck yeah.
I wish we could. That would be awesome.
I would do it in a heartbeat.
I would too. I mean, I'd cut all these trees down. We'd go right on out. But it's not possible.
Logistically, I do not see how. I mean, I guess it would be possible. How much money it would cost you?
You'd probably have to. I don't know what you'd have to build.
Oh, man.
Are we gonna have a well or county water?
There's county water, and it's already there.
It's county water, and it's already there. And Marycarl took me to the stream this weekend, which I have not seen until today. And I would like to ask you guys advice about this. Okay, so she's like, Mama, you see it? It's coming out of the ground.
Yeah.
And it is literally like a rock, okay? I mean,
like bedrock. It's like you're at the bottom
of the earth.
Solid rock.
Solid rock. And water's coming up.
And there's a hole. How big? That hole's probably about...
It's probably about like that, yeah.
Yeah, about the size of a basketball.
And the water is crystal clear and
so
cold.
Clear.
Cold.
It's got to be an underground spring.
All right, so she's got in her head that a pond can't be dug because it's rock.
Oh, I think it can.
Well, the guy that lives near there used to own the property.
Yeah.
And he used to have cattle, or his parents
right.
did. And he said, oh, yeah, you can build a pond there. But I haven't had anybody that does it for a living come and look at it.
I think you have to bring dirt in instead of take dirt out. That's what I think.
Really?
I think so. I may be wrong. I may be wrong.
Well, I just don't know. And she thinks that heavy equipment can't break through that rock. Well, You get a track hoe in there, and it'll do some. And she also doesn't want to take away from the look of it.
Yeah, that too.
So,
I don't know. We got to get somebody that knows what they're doing and give us an idea on that.
And then as I turned around and looked from that stream to the barn, it's not far at all.
No, it's not far at all.
She's like, Mama, do you think our ducks would be safe if they were to roost or,
fence it in?
Yeah.
We could.
That's what she's thinking. An area, where I've never had a hawk get a duck or a goose.
Not that we know of.
I mean.
Well, they do. We've seen a bald eagle. And I don't know if I told you.
Yeah,
I saw that video of that fox walking up on that bald eagle. And that bald eagle was twice the size that fox was.
I think our bald eagle that we saw was a rare occurrence. I may be wrong, but
maybe.
I don't think we're going to see it flying over a pasture.
I'm not that worried about it.
How much ground do they cover?
Gosh, I don't know.
We need Marycarl.
Yeah.
She can tell us right now.
Yeah, she can tell us right now.
2.2 square miles.
They can fly 22.3 miles an hour.
Oh, goodness, that's funny. Do you have to trim a pig's hooves like you do your goats?
You do have to trim pig's hooves. We are super lucky. I've noticed Peaches is that third one.
Yeah, it needs to be trimmed.
It needs to be trimmed. But so far of her hooves, we have this gravel driveway, and she walks it, no lie, at least 3 times a day. And that's really 6 because she goes up, down, so that could be 2. And she'll do that three times
I'm going to tell y'all something. I lost 30 pounds on Weight Watchers.
Yeah.
But when I come up that hill from being down there,
it's a hill.
It's a hill.
It
and
is.
you know it's a hill. I don't care how much you weigh.
Yeah.
It's a hill.
Yeah.
So that girl got to be in some shape.
She is. And that gravel driveway keeps her hooves wore down. We've never had an issue with that. But like I said, that third one is kind of getting a little long, so we may have to. It's like a dew call.
You ain't going to find me walking down that driveway without shoes on to trim my toenails.
She does it.
She does. And it stays fairly, they stay fairly good.
Yeah, they do.
Now, we went and got something for Marycarl this weekend, and they had a pig that looked just like Peaches.
They did have pig look like Peaches.
Her name was Ellie Mae. She looked just like Peaches. She was a year old. And she said, do y'all have to trim your pig's hooves? Because they didn't have gravel on their driveway. They had a dirt driveway. Yep. And she said that we can get about one done a week.
Yeah, they get one
one hoof done a week.
And there's 3 per foot.
3 hooves per foot because it's like that, and then there's another one coming off of there. But Ellie Mae, poor thing, she didn't want her hooves clean.
Yep.
Trimmed.
Now, we've had somebody that say that a farrier would trim a pig hooves.
That's the truth, because I called a farrier one time for a friend of mine, and he went over there, and y'all, this pig was 2 of Peaches.
Yeah.
He got her turned upside down, and he trimmed that pig's hooves all at one time and done.
Yep. And if you don't know what a farrier is, that's a guy that does
It's a horse podiatrist.
Yeah, pretty much. Does horse hooves. So.
Does horse hooves. And he trimmed that pig's feet. I forgot about that.
I bet they do goats too.
I bet so too.
Yeah,
I bet so too. Well, we do our goats ourselves, and we do Peaches ourselves too.
Yeah.
But Peaches doesn't. She doesn't mind.
Mm-mm.
She doesn't mind at all.
She doesn't mind.
Oh, Ellie Mae, she had her a dog house that was about the size of my kitchen, I guess you'd say.
Big.
And so she said Ellie Mae loves her dog house over there. They actually wanted to give Ellie Mae to us, and Peaches wouldn't like that. But
no. As
we drove by and looked at Ellie Mae's huge dog house, she had like 85 blankets in that thing.
Just like Peaches does.
Just like Peaches. And they were all in there. You would think she would have drug them out.
Peaches don't. She's the same way. Peaches would have put them all in there.
So that made us think that when we go to the new place, one of the first things we're going to get done, Peaches sleeps on a cot now under the carport.
On the carport.
We're going to build Peaches a nice house.
Yes.
And put a Peaches sign on top of it.
Or she'll get in it.
She will. If you put that cot in there. No, if you put that cot in there.
She'll be in that cot.
She loves that cot.
That cot is homemade now. That cot was professional made by our good buddy Paul, who got us the greenhouse.
And we had went through about 15 dog beds that
she just wears them out.
Her hooves was the biggest thing, because no matter how much you trim them, they still got that point on the end, and it's going to tear up a fabric.
Yep.
But this one's holding up.
This one.
As soon as I say that, she'll be sitting on the ground tomorrow.
How old is this one now? 2 years?
Yeah.
I think it's 2 years old.
It's doing well.
Really well.
So I hope he patents that, because
Peach's bed.
Yeah, Peach's bed, man.
She loves them cots.
All right. So next time, I hope Marycarl will join us. I think we covered all the questions except for, have we looked into buying a mill to make our own lumber?
We have not. We discussed that.
Well, I've been looking at them, but it's kind of something where it's going to take like 6 months for the wood to dry, I believe.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of local lumber mills around here.
So we're thinking that we can save us a lot of money by skipping.
Yeah, I don't have an area to dry the the wood in.
Yeah, we can get it wholesale.
Yeah,
basically.
well, yeah, and or a mill, a local somebody that mills,
right,
without us doing the milling,
right.
So, I think that's what we'll do, and I've been researching a little bit, and it's inexpensive now, so I can only imagine how inexpensive it can get if you buy it in bulk from a local. Especially
if we get a set of plans and kind of get an idea what we're doing, we can buy and store it if we need to be, or buy it in bunches.
Right. So we're getting excited.
We are getting excited.
We still don't have any plans.
We don't.
We'll keep y'all updated, and y'all keep the questions coming. Some people have asked, how did they ask a question? And if you will, just comment on the podcast video with a question mark. When you do, it lets us pull up all the questions. Mm-hmm. If yours didn't get answered today, ask it again, because we do pull them up from week to week.
Yes.
So those last ones are kind of gone.
Yep.
And then the new ones will be seen again. So start those questions all over again.
That's right.
You're
getting good.
Me?
Yeah.
I can handle this.
You're getting good.
Next thing you know, you be gone. Me and Marycarl will be sitting here. She can do all the talking, and all I gotta say is episode 26.
And set everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know she can handle it by herself, but she kind of looks to us for help. We realize that she knows what she's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And I read some of the comments about, if Mama would shut up, then maybe Marycarl could talk. That hurts my feelings, because I don't want to butt into my baby, but I do want to help her. If I feel like she's stumbling or she's getting stuck, then...
Or she's starting to go off a subject or go a direction that needs to be brought back in. So that's a lot of times.
Yeah, it's not that we're being ugly or rude.
Plus, we're getting way better. I know the earlier podcast, it was the first ones. We ain't been doing this. There is a what word am I looking for? There's a skill to this. And that's how come people that do this, like, people that do interviews and podcasts for years, they're way better at it than we are.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Sure. And I realize that I do cut into her sometimes, but it's something that's not meant to happen.
No, if we do cut into her, it's a reason why.
Yeah. And y'all take it easy on me.
Me too. I'm sure I get to a lot.
No, I hadn't said anything about you. It's always about me.
It used to be about me.
Well, that's because you were the only one here.
No, it used to be about me for cutting into Marycarl.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, early on. Early on, it was really bad. And we don't know we do it.
We don't realize we do it. So
we're just being natural.
We're trying to do better. We're trying to do better. And I do try to let her talk as long as she can, but sometimes she can steer off course a little. And if we do interrupt her, then that could be bringing her back to something.
Plus, we get something that pops in her head while she's talking. If we don't say something right then,
that's right.
It's gone.
We're 40 plus here. 40
it's
plus
gone.
Club.
It's
almost
gone.
To be the 50 club.
Yeah.
Not too much longer.
Hush.
All right.
Y'all be good.